A man writes 6 letters on a piece of paper. He looks at them. He crosses them out. Then, he gets in his car and drives into the night. 7 hours later, he is found dying on a German motorway, naked, severely injured, alone in the wreckage of his own car. Before he loses consciousness, he says 4 men were with him. He says they ran. He dies before he can say anything more. The 6 letters have never been explained. The Siegerland region of West Germany. October 1984. Günther Stoll is 34 years old. He lives with his wife, Margaret, in the small town of Anshausen. He trained as a food engineer. He is currently unemployed. For several months before his death, Stoll has been struggling. He tells Margaret that people are watching him, following him, planning to harm him. He refers to them only as denen, those ones. He never names them. He never describes them. Just those ones. His wife believes it is stress. His doctor prescribes sedatives. Then, on the evening of October 25th, something shifts. Stoll is sitting at home with Margaret when he suddenly stands up. He announces, clearly and loudly, "Jetzt geht mir ein Licht auf." Now I've got it. He picks up a pen. On a scrap of paper, some accounts say a shopping list. He writes 6 characters. YOGTZE. He studies what he has written. Then, he crosses it out. He puts on his coat, gets into his light blue Volkswagen Golf, and drives away into the dark. It is the last time Margaret sees him alive. What follows is documented in pieces. Each stop that night has a time. Each time matters. 23 o'clock, Wilnsdorf. Stoll arrives at his regular pub, a place called Papillon, in the nearby town of Wilnsdorf. He sits down. He orders a beer. He does not drink it. Witnesses describe him as agitated, not drunk, not impaired, just wrong somehow. Then, without warning, he loses consciousness and falls to the floor, injuring his face. He comes around. He tells the publican he suddenly went. No one calls a doctor. No medical record documents this collapse. The cause has never been established. Shortly after, he stands up and leaves for approximately 2 hours. Günther Stoll disappears from the record entirely. No witness places him anywhere. No CCTV, limited as it was in 1984, captures him. No phone call, no stop, no trace. 2 hours. Gone. He reappears 30 kilometers from his home, in Hagersielbach, the village where he grew up. He knocks on the door of a woman he knows from childhood. It is 1 in the morning. He tells her a horrible incident is about to take place that night. She advises him to go to his parents. He says they wouldn't understand. She tells him to drive home, to Margaret. He agrees. He says goodnight. He leaves. He does not go home. This is the moment the case becomes something harder to explain away. Stoll has just agreed to drive home. Home is south. He turns north. He drives over 100 kilometers in the wrong direction, toward Hagen, a city with no documented connection to his life. No family there. No former colleagues. No known reason. Whatever he was thinking in that car, in those final hours, is not recorded. At some point during this drive, or shortly before it, he removes his clothing, his trousers, his jacket, every item except his shoes, are never found. 2 truck drivers traveling the A45 spot a vehicle in a roadside trench. As they slow down, both independently notice a figure near the car, a person, white jacket, moving. They pull over. They call the police from an emergency roadside phone. When they return to the vehicle, the figure is gone. Inside the car, they find Günther Stoll, naked, severely injured, barely conscious. He tells them 4 men were in the car with him. He says they ran when the truck drivers appeared. He's asked if they were friends. He says no. He dies on the way to hospital. The criminal investigation begins immediately. Forensic examiners study the car. They study the body. And they reach a conclusion. That will define this case for the next 4 decades. Stoll's injuries, they determine, are inconsistent with the crash alone. The evidence at the time suggests he was struck by another vehicle, elsewhere, stripped, and then placed in his car, which was driven to the A45 and left in that trench. The damage to the car matches the crash site. The damage to his body, investigators believe, does not. The case is classified as suspected homicide. Over 1,200 leads are followed in the years that follow. None led anywhere conclusive. Then, on the 12th of April, 1985, nearly 6 months after Stoll's death, the case is aired on 45 Autobahn Crash, West Germany's most watched true crime program. The broadcast generates an immediate response, hundreds of tips, letters, phone calls. Amateur radio enthusiasts contact the station with an observation. If you replace the G in YOGTZE with the number 6, you get YO6TZE, the official call sign of a Romanian amateur radio station. Investigators look into it. No connection to Stoll is ever established. The case goes cold, and it stays cold, reviewed periodically, never resolved, for 4 more decades. Throughout all of this, one element keeps drawing attention back. The note, 6 characters, written in the final minutes before Stoll left his home. Written in apparent certainty. Now I've got it. Then immediately crossed out. There is no photograph of the original. The scrap of paper was discarded by Margaret on the night of Stoll's death. She did not tell police about the note until approximately 6 months later. What she gave them was not the note itself. It was her memory of it. Police acknowledged on record that they could not confirm with certainty that the sequence written was actually Y, O, G, T, Z, E. The reconstruction was based entirely on one person's recollection, reported half a year after the fact. YOGTZE does not appear in any known language. It has not been matched to any confirmed place, name, code, or compound. The Romanian radio call sign connection was investigated and produced nothing. Whether it was a word, a name, a partial license plate, a professional code from Stoll's work in food engineering, or a product of a mind that was no longer processing reality clearly, no one knows. In April 2025, 41 years after Stoll's death, Hagen police and the city's public prosecutor make a joint announcement. The YOGTZE case is closed. New forensic analysis, using methods unavailable in 1984, has re-examined the original evidence. Biomechanical experts conclude that Stoll's injuries are, in fact, consistent with high-impact collision trauma. The force of the crash, they determine, would have been sufficient to throw an unbelted driver from the driver's seat into the passenger position. DNA testing of the vehicle finds no biological material from any person other than Stoll. Prosecutor Gerhard Pauli states directly, he was exhibiting severe psychological disturbances. He felt persecuted, but we now assume that no one was there. Official conclusion: accidental death, single vehicle crash, no third-party involvement. The closure is based on documented expert analysis. The DNA findings are significant. The biomechanical reassessment is a serious piece of forensic work. And yet, the announcement is careful about what it claims. It concludes there was no crime. It does not explain everything. Consider what the 2025 investigation actually resolved. It answered one question: was this a homicide? The answer: based on current evidence, appears to be no. But the record of that night contains details the closure does not address. The figure in the white jacket, seen independently by 2 witnesses, was never found, never identified, and is not mentioned in the official 2025 statement. Stoll's clothing was never recovered. The 2-hour gap between Wilnsdorf and Heiger-Seelbach remains entirely unaccounted for. His decision to drive north, away from home, away from the direction he had just agreed to travel, has no documented explanation. And the note, which may or may not say what anyone thinks it says, was declared irrelevant to cause of death. That may be accurate. It is not the same as explained. This is not an argument that the official conclusion is wrong. It is an observation about how investigations work. They are designed to reach conclusions. They weigh evidence, follow procedure, and eventually, one position becomes untenable. Another becomes more probable. More probable becomes concluded. Concluded becomes closed. What forensic science can establish is powerful. What it cannot always do is reconstruct everything. Evidence degrades, witnesses age, documents are lost or discarded. The gap between what happened and what can be proven is real. In most cases, it is small. In some cases, it is wider than the official record suggests. Günther Stoll died in the early hours of October 26, 1984, on a stretch of motorway with no known connection to his life. The official record now calls it an accident. What it does not call it, because it cannot, is fully understood. A 2-hour gap that no document fills. A witness no one ever found. Clothing that was never recovered. A word written in certainty, crossed out, and then lost. Reconstructed from a single memory. Half a year late. The case is closed. Some of what happened that night remains simply unknown.